We're back at it again, talking tough, and in this episode we have the first flyweight semifinal matchup between Laura Gallardo of Team Pena versus Brogan Walker of Team Nunes. Now, I guess going into this episode a little bit, I'll just remind you guys of like their last fights in the Tough House. Gallardo obviously came in on short notice, and she fought Catherine Paprocki, and then she won. And Brogan Walker, she beat Hannah Guy in a pretty close decision. It was a good fight, actually, a really good fight between her and Hannah Guy, very close. And yeah, I mean, this one, it's just interesting because Brogan Walker, she's really good all around. She's good, like, from boxing range. She's really good, like, sticking and moving, using her footwork. And Laura Gallardo, her wrestling is just absolutely incredible. And, like, honestly, coming in, like, I thought that was going to play a big role in this fight. And obviously, like, I'll talk about that in a little bit. But, yeah, but no, it was an intriguing matchup, and obviously, you know, the winner of this is the first female fighter to get to the finale. So, yeah, I mean, with that, there's not really too much else, I guess, to get into. I mean, obviously, like, in the first few episodes of this series, we were able to get into, like, the fighter bios and stuff, but there's really, like, there's no point in doing that again. So, I mean, there's not as much in the episodes now, really, besides fights, fight prep. In the semis, they get to, like, talk to their families and stuff, but, like, there's not really much to dissect there. I mean, at least to me personally. But besides that, they actually had a cool TUF flashback. It reminded me of somebody who I feel like the MMA community just needs, like, a reminder about. But Tatiana Suarez, they showed her in the TUF throwback, and she's undefeated. All her fights have been at strawweight. She's a fantastic wrestler, like, probably the best in any division that she's going to go to. And, I mean, for reference in that, one of her wins at strawweight was Carla Esparza, who obviously is currently the champ, ragdolled Carla Esparza, and I think she finished her in that fight, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Oh, wait, no, I'm not on the right page. I'm an idiot. Yeah. She finished her with ground and pound, like, almost at the end of the fight. That's incredible. And she's beaten Alexa Grasso, Nina Nunes, just to, like, name a couple other people. She's still, like, fairly young in MMA. She's had a lot of injuries and, like, health issues get in the way in general. It's tough because I feel like she could definitely be the champ. I mean, whether that be at 115 or 125, honestly. I think she's... If I want to, like... I want to say that she was coming back at 125 at one point before she hurt her knee again. So, I mean, that's actually really interesting to me because Valentina is always looking for new contenders. I mean, we don't know what they're going to do with her and Talia Santos considering how close that first fight was. I'm not really sure if the UFC is eager to rebook that. It didn't seem like it, but I guess you really never know because that fight was close as hell. But Tatiana Suarez, I feel like she poses a lot of problems for a lot of the top flyweights out there. And honestly, she poses some problems for Valentina too, because like if we look at what Talia Santos was able to do and get on top of Valentina and, you know, control her there, Tatiana Suarez might be able to do that and really inflict like a lot of damage because she is ferocious on top. She has great ground and pound, good like top control, good submissions. She's just truly like an amazing grappler. So I was glad to see that the UFC is like still promoting her as such, like by showing off like her tough highlights and stuff in this episode. People need to be reminded, like, because she hasn't fought since like before the pandemic. I think like it was just on her Tapology. Her last fight was UFC 238, which is Cejudo versus Moraes in 2019, and she beat Nina Nunes. But man, like, that's kind of crazy, actually. She beat Nina Nunes, and now, like, we're on TUF 30 with Amanda Nunes. But with that, I guess, we'll just get into the fight. Because, I mean, like I said, there's really not that much else that happened in the episode. There's a couple little moments here and there, but nothing worth really getting into. The fight was honestly what I really wanted to talk about because I was really impressed with one of the fighters' performances in it. So I might be spoiling the fight a little bit prematurely in this one. Sorry about that for anybody who likes to listen to the breakdowns and then here's like the outcome at the end. But I was just really impressed with Brogan Walker in this one. This is actually one of the only fights I've watched like a few times just because the first time I feel like I didn't get everything out of it. Because there were some moments that it was like a little bit, you know, slow. It was like slow paced, but, you know, you can still gain a lot from those fights, and I think I gained a lot of knowledge on Brogan Walker by watching her fight versus Laura Gallardo because she really looked incredible as the fight like went further on. So round one though, it was interesting because like Laura had like a decent amount of like control time, but it was like up against the cage, and she wasn't really able to like assert like her dominance using the wrestling, in the sense that she wasn't able to really take her down and hold her down. Like honestly, coming into this fight, I figured that Brogan Walker was going to have a little bit more trouble with Laura's grappling. Maybe I shouldn't have thought that way, just because like I guess naturally, I don't know how much this matters, but naturally, like, they're a different weight class. Brogan Walker is a natural flyweight, while Laura Gallardo is a natural strawweight. So she is like, Laura's going up a weight class, obviously, to fight in this season of TUF. So you can't really say that. I don't know how to put this, because I don't want to like discredit Brogan, because obviously I'm like really impressed by her, but like, you know, sometimes when you go up a weight class, you're going to struggle with like the physicality of it. And I think with Laura, Brogan's like reach really played like a major role in this one, because Brogan's like timing was really like impeccable throughout this whole fight, even in the first round. But the first round, it was really like a lot of like a feeling out process, it seemed like, because Laura, you know, to me, Laura won the first round just because of the control time, because like there wasn't really too much damage, I guess, on either side at that point, and she did start the round like really strong. I'm not sure if it was like a knockdown or not, but she did get Brogan like on the floor for a second. But I mean, it's a tough round to score, because like I said, there's not that much damage on either side, but in this one, I guess the control time would matter more to me, and for that, I gave it to Laura Gallardo. But as the fight went on, like I said, Brogan really just came into her own and just was expanding upon like the things she was doing earlier in the fight, maybe just not as much as she really needed to. But in round two, it was like, I'm not gonna lie, this one was one of the rounds that like I was kind of, you know, half asleep during, because it was getting a little boring. But when I watched it the second time and the third time, I was really getting a lot out of it, because it was just impressive how well like Brogan was managing her range. And like at first it seemed like they were both just feinting a lot, but like when I really was watching it, Laura was swinging a lot, and like she was really hitting a lot of air, while Brogan was landing her a lot of her shots well. Like her boxing really looked good in this fight, in my opinion, and her footwork looked better as the fight went on, as it seemed like she was getting more and more confident that she could stuff Laura's takedowns, which she did in this round too. And yeah, I mean, besides that though, I guess at the end of the round, Gallardo was really like desperately, I guess, going for a takedown, and Brogan Walker, she just defended it really well, and she was kind of like on top, like after you sprawl, like you know how sometimes the people like they're still like in on the leg, but the person's on top and they're able to land ground and pound even though they're defending the takedown. She was landing a lot of like shots to the body. She was landing like a few good knees, a lot of good punches, and she ended the round like on top, landing ground and pound. So like because of that and just the good boxing throughout the round, I gave that round to Brogan, so that had it 1-1 for me going into round three. And round three, like that was Brogan's round, no doubt. She defended all the takedowns. Laura you could see she was getting desperate with it, because Laura, that whole fight, she was really swinging at a lot of air and not hitting Brogan that much. And when she it was mostly when she was getting in close to get to the takedown, like because she was doing okay, I guess, when like Brogan would defend a takedown, and then like as like they're getting back up, Laura would land a few shots, but on the feet, like in general at distance, Laura was having a really hard time finding her range, while Brogan in this round, her timing looked insane. She was landing so many jabs, a lot of 1-2s, like some really good hooks like throughout that were doing some damage. And round three was just all Brogan Walker, you know, because of that, defending all the takedowns. Like honestly, like that was what really impressed me, because round one like was a tough round and it was very close, and so was round two, honestly, but I personally thought that Brogan did a little better. And just like after all that, kind of like showing that you're still there and like you're not afraid of like her best skill, that was like truly incredible to me. Like I think Brogan showed like a lot of heart, honestly, in this fight too. It was just because going in, honestly, I thought she was gonna have a tough time with Laura's grappling despite the weight class difference, but you know, this one, she really proved that she was able to manage her range well, defend all the takedowns like she needed to, and she won a pretty like clear unanimous decision. And now Brogan's going to be going on to the finale against Juliana Miller, or who is Juliana Miller actually fighting? I forget. Oh, he's fighting Caitlin Neal. So yeah, it's going to be either Juliana Miller or Caitlin Neal fighting Brogan Walker in the finale. So right now I am... Yeah, I think I'm 1-1 on my picks. So we'll see how the last two fights go. I think in the next one we probably have a heavyweight one. I don't like watching the outros that show like the previews of the next episode, because like a lot of the times like the trailer shows most of the like cool parts in the episode. So I'd rather be surprised by it. So I'm assuming that the heavyweight fight between Muhammad Usman and Eduardo Perez is going to be next, and I cannot wait for that one. But I guess just to wrap up this episode, Brogan Walker really showed how just good she is all around. Her takedown defense looked incredible. Like I said, she showed really good boxing on the feet. And one thing this isn't really against like Laura Gallardo in particular. It's more just like just most MMA fighters. I just hate like when like wrestlers, like the wrestler types, when things aren't like going their way and like they're not getting the takedowns, but they're just holding their opponent against the cage and not doing much with it, and then they say that they dominated the fight like that. Like I don't understand that. Like, because Gallardo, like all due respect to her, because she did fight like pretty well, like despite some of the circumstances, but she didn't do much damage throughout the fight. The most control that she really had was, I guess, cage control up against, like, even that though, it was like only really in round one. And Brogan, like, she was punishing Laura after a while after she wasn't able to get the takedowns, and Laura thought she won the fight. I don't know how she thought that, honestly. I don't know I think she said she thought she had rounds 1 and 2. I don't know about that. But Coach Juliana, she seemed to agree that Laura won the fight. I mean, I guess I don't know if she believes that or she's just trying to support her, but I don't know. I didn't think that Laura really won this fight. I didn't think that there was any way that she should deserve to really win this fight. It's just, I don't know, like, you're coming in like as a competitor and you're doing just enough to win. At a certain point, you gotta like really just say fuck all that and just like and do some damage, and that's really what I think it was in this fight. It kind of reminded me of like obviously like a lesser stakes, but of Sandhagen versus Dillashaw, like that debate of control time versus damage, and I think in this fight the damage won out. And I personally thought that was the right decision. And, Sandhagen versus Dillashaw, I thought that Corey should have won too. So I'm pretty consistent on like my viewpoints on this subject, because it really does come up a lot nowadays. And I don't know if like there's going to be like a new way of judging MMA at any point, but that would be the thing that they should focus on if they ever do try to like really change the system, because some judges, they value that control time. And even in this fight, I still don't think it was enough to get Laura the win, but I think you could debate it more if that was the avenue that you're going down. But me personally, I think it's MMA. Wrestling is one part of it. Damage is a whole other part of it, and I think it should be more important than it is. And in this fight, it seemed like Brogan was really landing like bigger shots on Gallardo in rounds 2 and 3, and that's why I gave it to Brogan Walker. So I think I might have said that wrong, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I thought that Brogan Walker deserved the win, and honestly, after this, I can't wait to see her fight in the finale against whoever, because she really does pose like a lot of problems on the feet against anybody. And if you got to get her down and you can't get her down, what are you going to do? So I think either matchup in the finale with her is going to be really interesting, and I was just really impressed by her performance, and I wanted to really like make that known in this episode. So congrats to Brogan Walker. She's going to the finale, and I can't wait to talk about this heavyweight fight next week.